Welcome to the Know Your Legacy podcast. I'm your host, Phillip, and today's guest is Phillip, also known as Pino Producer. He's a co-founder of a company called Instros Only, which provides a platform for UK and European upcoming producers to actually gain exposure to some of the biggest producers and artists in the game right now. He's also a co-host of a podcast called For the Culture and has garnered support from Ryan Leslie, Jay Hatch, and many others as well. So thank you so much for being here, man.
Thanks for having me, Vix, man. I really appreciate you bringing me on your show, and it's good to catch up with you again, man.
No, definitely. Likewise. And so I came to your show for the first time actually a couple of months back, just supporting my brother, and just seeing everything that you put together there was amazing, because as we were saying off air just a little while ago, I think there's so much noise now on social media with upcoming producers and artists, and there's so many people that now have a platform which previously didn't. So it's good to actually be able to play this music live in front of not only an audience, but people who are already established in the game, because you get live feedback, you know. So I think it was an amazing experience, and I want to know, how is it that you actually came about creating an event like that?
Sure. So first of all, shout out to your brother, Kid Music. He definitely did his thing at our show, and he's come to a couple of our producer huddle events as well. So shout out to your brother, man. But yeah, basically it actually come from, because I used to do producer showcases myself. I used to fly out to America. There's this company called iStandard Producers who are based in America and who are actually our partners with the showcase. Jay Hatch, who we fly out every year, is actually the co-founder of iStandard. And so I used to fly out a couple times to compete in some of their events. And, I was meeting people like really, really big producers like Rockwilder, S1, Cardiak, Illmind, like just to name a few. And I thought to myself, like, this would be amazing if we had this in the UK, because we obviously don't have access to those kind of guys. I know there's the internet, but there's nothing like meeting them in person. And so, one day I just gave Hatch a call. I was just like, yo, Hatch, how would you feel about us starting something in the UK, partnership with yourselves, iStandard? And, he jumped at the chance, because those guys hadn't been to the UK yet. So, and we just pretty much went from there. But it came about by me experiencing it first in America, and then, thinking to do it over here.
Yeah, so wanting to expand the opportunity for more people, basically. So
100%.
Yeah. What actually made you want to become a producer in the first place?
I'm actually a pianist. I started off as a pianist. I've been playing the piano since I was really young, and it was just like a natural progression, really. I love R&B, I love hip hop, I love soul music, and I always just wanted to replicate the songs that I heard on the radio, really. Like, I'm a big Timbaland, Neptunes, Dr. Dre, Ryan Leslie, Just Blaze, the usual suspects. And I always thought, wow, like I would love to make music like that. So I think I started first dabbling in it maybe about 6 or 7 years ago, but properly started taking it seriously maybe, not very recent, maybe 3-4 years ago. So I'm fairly new to the game myself. That's a baby in terms of like music producer years. So yeah, it's just a natural progression, because I've always been into music and I started playing the piano.
Well, yeah, I thought you were actually in that space for a longer period of time than that. And you've come quite far based on how long you've actually been doing it. So no, congrats to you, man.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
So when you listen to music, so I always think this, like, and I haven't actually asked my brother this, I'm going to ask you. So as a producer, obviously you listen to each note and each key differently to how a regular person might, who doesn't actually understand music or can't read the notes or doesn't produce music like on like something like Logic or Fruit Loops or whatever it is you might use. So when you're listening to a song, what is it you're hearing?
It's funny you say that, because like before I started producing, I just listened to music like everyone, like every consumer, just didn't pay much attention to the kind of sonically how it sounds or any of the technical stuff. But now that I'm a producer, going back, when I'm listening to beats, I automatically think, even if it's someone like Timbaland or Metro Boomin or whatever, I'm always just kind of critiquing. I think, oh, that snare doesn't sound right, or I would have done it this way, or it's really, really weird. And like, you really kind of get your kind of critique hat on, and you're thinking, how can you always make things better? So when I make music now, like, and once I'm listening to it, once I finish, I always listen back and I think, oh no, that snare's you know, I need to put more high end, or I need to, you know, all this kind of technical stuff. So I very much don't almost listen to enjoy it. I listen to kind of make it as good as can possibly be. It's really, really weird. And like, I'm sure your brother will tell you the same. Like, you know, he probably sits in the studio and listens to one snare for like 5 hours until it sounds right. And so yeah, I'll really break down every element of the track now when I'm listening to a beat. You know, kick, snare, vocals, synths, everything. So it's a very more, you know, technical way of listening rather than just, you know, the average consumer, which is a good thing and a bad thing, because, you know, you're never going to be happy with it at the end of the day. But some, you know, so that's the bad aspect. But the good aspect, obviously, you ensure that, you know, you make the best music possible by being so kind of, you know, picky, hands-on.
Yeah, I was going to say, so with that, obviously with that mindset, I guess it comes naturally to you to critique it because you understand music at a deeper level. But
Yeah.
then do you feel that you can still enjoy music for what it is?
Yeah. Like if the music's, you know, if I hear a track and it's just banging, like and it's undeniable, 100%. But and I think I don't even want to go into like, you know, a rant about like today's music and how I think it's not as good as the 90s or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to enjoy a lot of music today just purely because I think a lot of it is sounds the same. There's not much originality, not much diversity at all. People, I feel, generally aren't trying anymore. And a lot of people that don't necessarily have musical talent are making music, which is cool, but it obviously just lowers the standard. And I really think, you know, whereas if I'm putting out a record or a beat or whatever, I'm making a beat, I always compare it to the best possible beat I can and think, can mine stand up? If not, you know, I have to go back and rethink stuff. So it's hard to enjoy music. Like I don't listen to the radio now, to be honest. Like I just listen to, you know, I find artists that I like and I just have their CDs or, you know, in my car. But to answer your question, yes, I still do enjoy music, but, you know, selectively, I guess.
Yeah, I guess because you coming from the perspective of being a bit more technical about it, you pick and choose what you like and what you dislike, rather than just listen to whatever is put through on the radio, which may not be the best music. It's just what's most popular, I guess. So
100%.
yeah, I
And the
mean,
funny thing is, I'm not even super technical like that because, you know, in a mainstream, you know, in a main, there's probably like two types of producers. One that's just like a creative and that literally just likes to, you know, create the music, you know, play the keys, you know, put the drums in, whatever. And then there's the other side, which is more the technical sound design, engineering kind of techie background almost. And I'm definitely not one of those. So even though I do look for technical stuff, I'm very much about just creating more. And I just send the stuff to my engineer for him to finish it off. But just what I was saying about not enjoying music that's out there, I just purely from not even a technical standpoint, I just think, you know, melodically and sonically, it just all sounds the same and very just uninspiring, to be honest.
well, what do you think about the term that they use, one hit wonder?
Well, I mean,
What's your take on that?
the thing is, that's fine because at the end of the day, if a track resonates with everyone, you know, you know, it's a hit. You know, that's fine. It's just, you know, can they follow it up? And I think, you know, the talent after that will speak for itself. If they are just a one hit wonder, fair enough. But if they are able to consistently make good music, then, you know, obviously they'll enjoy long, fruitful careers. But saying that, you know, who the hell am I? I'm just starting my career anyway, so I hope I have a one hit, you know, let alone many more. So, you know, time
Yeah.
will tell.
No, of course. I guess it always just takes. I remember Kevin Hart. I was watching an interview with Kevin Hart, and he was talking about how they were asking him, like, you know, how long it takes to become successful. Well, they're talking about the topic of success, and he was like, all it takes is one of your shows to pop, one of your songs to pop,
100%.
and then you just build more and more momentum from there. So
100%.
do you ever think, like, I know you said you're just starting off your career, but do you ever think, like, you've made a banging beat, you know, you're in love with it, whatever, you just know, like, that's it, like, that's really good, I don't need to touch this.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever get the fear that I'm not going to be able to recreate one as good as this again?
Yeah, definitely. You know, every time, and especially as well with me, because I actually haven't been in the studio making music that much of late because I've been so busy with like, you know, the events, and we're about to get into some other stuff, which, you know, we can talk about later. But yeah, absolutely. You know, when it's always a constant fear of, oh man, like, I don't think I can like, you make such like an amazing beat, or you think it's amazing at least, and you think, man, am I going to be able to recreate that or do something that's better? as good as that. And because really having a long career is obviously about being consistent, and so I guess it's just about practice, really. Just that's why I have to get back in the studio and keep practicing, just to make sure that I can keep like the good music coming. I mean, in general, like if you're a talented producer, you're always going to make good music, but sometimes you do make a track and you think, you know what, like I'm not sure if I'm going to make something better than that, because that is just like I was in the zone when I was doing that, so I'm not sure if I can recreate that. You never know, but I mean, if you're talented, you should be able to.
Yeah. Do you think you can learn how to be a music producer, or is it something that you're just born with?
Oh, 100%. You can definitely learn to be a music producer, especially with all the tools I have today. Like they have loads of websites where you can have, pre-done like melodic loops and vocals and samples, and places like Splice and Machine Masters and stuff like that. And you don't necessarily not even need to know how to play an instrument to be a producer. However, obviously, if you do, it puts you in a much better stead. So, 100%. Again, like with anything, you can learn to do anything. Just your talent will determine how far, and hard work obviously will determine how far and how good you become. But yes, you definitely can.
So I know, like, obviously there's a lot of tools, because from what my brother tells me, obviously he uses Logic, and there's many other tools that you can get, like kits, etc., that will help you out to diversify your sound. But do you think like you still have to, like, just even if you don't know what how to play an instrument, you still have to understand like rhythm to be able
Yeah,
to
of course.
put the sounds out there. So is that something you feel you can learn, or do you feel that's something that you've always had and now you've just made it into into a full-time career?
No, definitely, you could definitely learn, like, learning the basics of music, rhythm, learning how to, I guess, count bars, very, very basic stuff in music you can learn very, very easily. Again, it's just, uh, you can learn to play a musical instrument, piano, guitar, whatever it is. But again, it's just how good you are at that. I can learn how to play basketball, but I'm never going to be as good as LeBron James. It's just, you know what I mean? It's one of them
Yeah.
ones. So it's so yeah, learning the basics is important, and learning an instrument, I would say, is very important. But as long as you work hard at it, you can pretty much pick up anything.
Yeah, I know. I agree 100%. I think that there's so much information out there now that there isn't anything that you can't learn. Google, YouTube, there's
100%.
so much stuff out there. But then it's how you apply yourself, and I guess the talent that you naturally have as well, that will determine how well you do at that particular thing that you're trying
Yeah,
to
for
learn.
sure,
So
for sure.
just going back to the show now, like, the showcase that you started, it seems like you went to America. You were almost in awe of what you saw, and you were like, I want to expand this out further.
Hmm.
Most people would probably think like, how am I going to do it? It's such a big thing. There's so many people I need support of, or where am I going to get a venue from? Where am I going to get the funding, etc. All of that sort of stuff, the marketing. It seems like you just jumped straight in and then decided to learn along the way. If that,
Yeah.
am I describing it correctly?
It's
Yeah.
funny you mention that, because that's exactly what it was. It was like, so, when I came back from America, which was at the end of 2014, I came back obviously really inspired. And then throughout 2015, I was just carrying on making music and staying in contact with J Hatch and I Standard and some of the, established producers I had met there. And then towards the end of the year, 2015, I was like, you know what? I really, really want to do a showcase in London. And me and Hatch had spoke about it very briefly actually when I was out there, but it was more it was more a case of oh, Pino, if I stand to come to London, we'd love for you to be a rep out there. And I was like, yeah, cool, just hit me up, let me know. But like I said, towards the end of 2015, I was like, you know what, like I really want to start something of my own. Yes, in partnership with iStandard, but I guess when you just want to kind of do things your own way and have more, I guess, control over it. And so it was literally, I hit up J Hatch on email at first, and then we had a phone conversation about. I was like, yo, Hatch, this is what we're looking to do. A showcase. We can fly you out and fly out, a guest judge as well, one of the big producers. And you know, what are you saying? Do you want to do it? He's like, yeah, no problem. Just let me know when and where. So I hooked up with my now business partner, Denise, who's a lifelong friend of mine, but also she has a background in marketing. And, we both decided, and she actually came out with me when I competed in America. So she's always been a big supporter of my music anyway. And yeah, we just combined forces and literally we booked their flights. We booked Jay Hatch's flight. We booked Focus, who's the first producer we had over here. Shout out to my man Focus over at Aftermath. And that was it. And then we just found and started just learning along the way. Exactly as you said, we went around looking for venues. You know, we got artwork done. We started trying to do, you know, very basic promo. Started up the social media stuff, and that's literally we learn on the job. We're very much still learning now, but you know, I just think, like you said, it's just, I think a lot of people put mental barriers in place where they just think, oh gosh, like it's such a big thing to showcase. How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? When really, it's really simple. Just do it and you learn as you go. Obviously, there's a degree of planning, but literally just, you know, jump in the deep end pretty much. And that's exactly how we started.
Is there anything that you felt resistance for whilst you were planning, like resistance against doing a certain thing or a certain step along the way that you felt like, you know, I wish I'd foreseen this before?
What, any problems that kind of rose up to me? Well, yeah, loads. I mean, you know, we didn't know how to, pretty much every aspect of putting together an event. We had limited, well, I had no experience whatsoever. Denise had some because she was in marketing, but it was more for venues, not so much actual kind of musical events. So it was still very much a learning curve for her as well. And yeah, it was just, you know, finding the right, because we had performances, artists come and perform at the show as well, finding the right performers, finding the right venues, the little details that you don't really think about, like the sound system at a venue, is it going to be good enough? The technical aspects, will it work with the DJ's equipment that you're bringing in? Finding the right DJs, what, you know, ticketing platform to put your tickets on, you know, just like literally every aspect of promoting the event and organizing it. Was a struggle at first, but like I said, you just, you know, persevere and you learn along the way. We made a ton of mistakes, and but every year we get slightly better because we learn from the previous year. So, but yeah, everything, you know, we have to learn everything. We've got loads of resistance.
Yeah, I guess that goes for anything that you're going to do. There's only so much planning you can do before it's time to jump in, and then some of the stuff just gets revealed to you along the way, and that you can't like learn that beforehand. It's like you only learn it when you're on the job, so to speak.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. Yeah, we had on for the first show, for example, like the DJ that we had. I don't want to name names. We had a really big DJ, you know, booked to come. Literally, I think it was on the day, or maybe the day before, but I think it was a day actually. He said, "Oh, I can't make it no more," and that was our headline DJ. It's like dealing with stuff like that. So, yeah, man, it was definitely a learning curve.
Yeah, how did you, just out of interest, how did you come out of that then? What was the backup plan?
Well, like you know, we made a bit of noise about it to this DJ, and he ended up you know, sorting us out with someone else who wasn't as big, but it kind of, we were able to just get out of it kind of thing. And because the DJ wasn't the main part, the show was actually the main part of the producers. It wasn't such a super big deal, but it looks bad. Your first show, you know, such and such DJ is supposed to be there, and they don't turn up. It's just like, okay, you don't want to start off with that kind of reputation of not being able to bring the guests you say you're going to bring, you know?
Yeah. Do you think it affected some of the later shows that you did, or do you think you bounced back?
No, I don't think so. Because to be honest, like the first show as well, it was in a very small venue. It was about like, I think the capacity of the venue was like 60. And it was a very small show. Very few people knew about it, to be honest, other than the people that were there. And, you know, their sort of extended family and friends or whatever. So I don't think no one cared, to be honest.
Yeah, that's the thing as well. Like when you start something up, people are so scared to make mistakes or to trip over themselves, and it's like that's the best time to learn because you don't have that much attention anyway. So it doesn't matter. You can get away with it because people know you're just starting out anyway. So,
and even if you can't, like, you know, even if the world is watching you, you know, it's like you can't let that stop you. And if you do fail, you know, fuck it. So what? Who cares? You know, you just keep going, and you're gonna. And the thing is, it's really important to kind of accept the fact that you are going to fail and things are going to go wrong. Like nothing's ever going to go 100% right, and you just have to you have to expect it and almost kind of, you know, enjoy it and enjoy the grind and enjoy sort of gritting through it when it does happen, because, you know, you come out on the other end and, you know, those things don't phase you anymore. Like if, you know, once we have a show now and if someone was to pull out now, I wouldn't care because I know how to handle it. You know, you just know what to do. You know what I mean? So it definitely makes you better, you know, whatever it is you're trying to do.
Yeah, as we were saying before, like I think it's about learning along the way. Like all of that, the confidence that you now got obviously comes from the fact that you've jumped in and you've done 3 shows and you've taken that leap of faith, so to speak, almost. You know, because you were saying that you didn't have experience putting events together or bringing people together at that level beforehand.
Yeah.
So, what was it you were actually doing before that then? Like before your first show? Obviously, you were making music. You went out to America, but like, what was the focus of the stuff you're doing before that?
Well, literally just making beats. You know, obviously, you know, when you start out as a producer, you don't really know much. So it's just like, I want to make beats, and hopefully I can get it to Jay-Z so he can rap on it. Basically, like every starting producer does. But other than that, I actually started my own sample pack, loop pack company called Crazy Keys. Crazykeys.co.uk, by the way, shameless plug. Crazy with a K. Because like I thought I'd, you know, put all my piano kind of skills to use. So I do like piano loop packs, guitar loop packs, orchestral stuff, you know. So I was making, you know, decent money doing that actually. So that was helping, you know, tide me over. But yeah, it was pretty much making beats, hoping to get placements really. And I was working with iStandard as well because they're also a publishing company. And so, you know, I was putting my music with them, trying to get placements through them. And yeah, just doing my sample packs really. And it was just, my plan was just to keep grinding until something popped off, till I got a couple placements and people started recognizing, you know, my name, get my name out there as a producer.
Yeah.
And, you know, eventually probably move to the States as well. That was my plan as well. So, you know, I mean, the usual kind of dreams that any aspiring producer or artist has really.
Yeah, it's good to see that you've actually come a long way since actually thinking about that sort of stuff. You've actually taken action to make it happen. So, I mean, in terms of your upcoming events and shows, like what can people expect now?
Well, like for producers competing, or you know, the attendees, or just in general.
In just in general.
Well, I mean, for the producers themselves, obviously it's exposure really. Our platform, our company is all about getting producers exposure that they wouldn't get otherwise, just by sending their beats to whoever online and not getting any responses. And also as well, you know, when you're in a showcase, when you're in that kind of live environment, and you can gauge how people really kind of vibe or don't vibe to your music, it really gives you a good feel of where you have to go in terms of, okay, shit, you know what, they weren't fucking with that. I need to do X, Y, Z to make sure my music gets better. So it's a way of, you know, it's a tool for them to kind of, you know, how to get better really, especially with the judges' feedback as well. And just getting inspired from other producers and taking bits and pieces from them. It's very much, we encourage networking as well, which is the main thing, because it's great to win a show, don't get me wrong, but the main thing is to color and learn, network, and make, you know, these important connections with J Hatch, with a Cardiac, with, you know, Wizzy Wow, who was our UK judge this year. And even though you might not win, one of those guys might hear one of your tracks and be like, you know what, I'm in the studio with, God knows, Bryson Tiller right now. That, you know, he'd love that joint. Let me take that. You know what I mean? You just never know. So it's all about creating opportunities that weren't there when you're just sitting in your bedroom, making beats, sending out music, or just putting it on your SoundCloud. So all about exposure, all about networking, building a community, finding artists as well, because we have a lot of songwriters that come to our events, a lot of artists looking for talented producers, and yeah, you know, linking up with, because at the end of the day, obviously your beats need artists on them. So finding someone who's on the same wavelength as you, and you can build, because, you know, it's very unlikely that you're going to get a big placement straight away. So working with up and coming artists is the way forward for sure.
How do you think? So you obviously the platform now brings a lot of exposure, and every year I'm assuming that you yourself are making more and more connections as well. So you're able to bring out more and more experienced people and experienced individuals in the industry. How do you think producers can prepare for something like that? So, like for example, like let's say your event is upcoming 3 months from now. The next one's coming up. Yeah. What goes through the mind of a producer leading up to that event? Is it just like, all right, I'm going to make 10 set beats and these are the ones I'm going to showcase, or is it like I'm gonna make like a whole host and then just pick the best ones closer to the time? Like, how would it work if you were in those shoes?
Yeah, well, first I would definitely say to watch videos like up on YouTube or on our website or wherever, or on iStandard's website as well, on like just understanding the basic format of the show, you know, how it works, you know, how long the tracks need to be, and just getting a general feel of, you know, what tracks maybe you want to play, you know, because a lot of people kind of go in blind and not really know the format, not really know what to expect. And so they're at a disadvantage because purely just they don't know what the format is. And I think what we do though is everyone that enters, you know, like 2 or 3 weeks before, I kind of get them all in a room and say, look, I give them like my 10 top tips on how to perform, you know, how they can get the best out of the showcase and perform and, you know, give the best account of themselves. But in general, I would say, you know, watch videos, come to some of our events and, you know, talk to me, get advice. But yeah, with regards to actually making the music, the most important thing is to make music that you do best, because a lot of people play trap beats, for example, at the showcase, which is great. You know, the crowd love it. Loads of 808s all over the place. Sounds good. But you might not be a trap producer. You might be a very, you know, you might make Jay Dilla soul type beats. And so do that, you know. Don't think because everyone's playing trap beats and that's getting a good reaction, you can't do what you do best. Because one, the judges look for diversity anyway. And two, the last thing you want to do is enter a showcase, make a bunch of trap beats when really you're like this soulful Jay Dilla guy, you know, lose, and then not only have you lost, but you haven't given a proper representation of yourself, and no one really knows what you're really good at, which is the Jay Dilla stuff. So, yeah, just be yourself, make the music you love to make. Obviously, like I said, look at videos and look at the standard, so like the quality, and know like the levels and where you have to be to compete. But yeah, I'll just say make the music you like to make.
Yeah, no, so some good advice as well, because I think when I came there as well, I definitely saw a spectrum of people. So like for people who haven't been, there was people from all over the country and all over Europe as well that had flown down just to showcase their music and play it live. And it was different genres of music there. Yeah. Now I saw some people, I think his name was Speechless. Some people who actually took effort in representing themselves properly. You could hear that their beats were polished compared to someone who it seemed like they just made like a quick beat on Fruity Loops on their way down to the showcase. You know, there's a difference in people who prepared and are taking it seriously and some who aren't. So do you think that you get a lot of people jumping on because they just want to get on the hype and the bandwagon and try and be a producer because it's popular right now? Or I don't know, what's your view on that?
Well, in particular with our showcase, or just in general, people that start producing?
Showcase and outside of that as well.
Well, for our show, I think people jump on it because I feel like they see it as a quick way in. They think, okay, look, I'm just going to enter the showcase, meet Cardiak, give him my beats, and then I'm going to be in the studio with him and Jay-Z next week. I think a lot of people do feel that way. And to be honest, I kind of felt that way as well when I was obviously going to America and, you know, flying out and meeting Illmind and Cardiak and Rockwild and all these guys. I thought, oh, my beats are good enough. Let me just give him my CD, and then, like, you know, I might get that phone call next week. So I think, you know, part of it is that kind of aspect, like direct access to guys that can change their lives, essentially. But I think also, you know, people genuinely love music, who maybe couldn't make music before because they couldn't play an instrument, and it was a lot harder to kind of like studio equipment, and like I said, websites like Splice and Machine Masters weren't readily available, where they got pre-made loops and stuff, where it makes it a lot easier to make music. So I think a lot more people are jumping on it from that aspect because of the ease of it. And also just, you know, I guess the fame aspect, you know, everyone's on the hype of, oh yeah, I want to look good, I want to be, you know, I want to be produced online, live the lifestyle, you know, there's always that element to it as well. So I think there's a whole range of reasons why, but probably those three, I'd say.
Yeah, I agree with you, because it's not just in that industry. I would say across the board, the different people that I've spoken to, you get, especially on social media, you get people who are just trying to represent themselves as someone they're not, just because they want the attention. And I don't think you can really become successful in any field if you're doing it for the sake of just the attention rather than because you love it. Yeah. That you get a different result from putting pure passion into something compared to 100%. I'm going to do this because I want the numbers, or I want to get a certain level of followers or money or whatever it is, you know. So
and I feel sorry to interrupt you, it's late, but and as well, following on from that, I think music is one of those you know, industries where, you know, there's no kind of, you know, it's not really like anyone can do it. You know, that you don't need qualifications to do it, and there's no kind of set standard. You know what I mean? No one's held accountable for garbage music. As long as like someone could put out absolute garbage, but just do a really kind of popular video that goes viral, and then they're on their way, kind of thing. So I think people see it as an easy in to, like you said, to being celebrity or whatever. And unfortunately, more of that is getting the limelight than maybe, you know, actually talented musicians who are in it for the love. But so yeah, I feel it's because it's just very easy to get into, and no one respects that you have to have a lot of talent to do it. It's easy access.
Yeah, for sure. I think the internet makes that the case now as well, because of the availability and the low barrier of access that you get to people like yourself, and to the showcase and things of that nature. So, but it's interesting to see how things are going to pan out over the next few years, because I was talking to one of my other friends in a slightly different space, and he's on social media with his business, and he was saying, look, man, people who are actually genuine, and people who are shit, the shit ones are going to get all filtered out over the next few years, because people are going to realize that they're not on the grind, they're not consistent, because they realize that, oh, I'm not getting any results from this, they're going to drop off. And the ones that are actually putting in effort now are going to be the ones that are left.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's long-term game, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Like the cream always rises to the top, as they say. So as long as that's on the assumption that the people that are talented as well are working as hard as the guys that aren't as talented. So let's not get that confused. Like if you're talented, that doesn't mean nothing if you're not working hard. So a non-talented person that's working their ass off will always outdo and, you know, reach levels that the talented guy that's not working, you know, will. So yes, assuming the talented guys are working good and the untalented guys are working hard as well, you know, the talented ones, yeah, would rise to the top.
Yeah, for sure. No, makes sense. So I'm curious, you on your way to the US showcase, like your first one, was it 2014 you said?
Yes, I did an online one at first, beginning of 2014, and then in July I went to Miami to compete, and then they brought me back in November that year to New York to what's called Beast of the Beats, which is their main event where there's like over like 120 producers.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So on your way there, you said to me that you had a dream, you know, the typical dream that you have as a producer, that hopefully you'll get noticed by someone quite big, and then you'll get flown out there, or you'll decide to move over there. Now, that was your mindset as you were going there. You came back with a slightly different mentality, in that, all right, I want to actually take this opportunity and bring it to the UK. So do you feel your dream has now changed compared to back in 2014?
100%. And it's a good point that you mentioned about changing your mindset, because, you know, obviously I went out there and, you know, I basically wanted someone to change my life for me. I wanted to meet Cardiak or meet Illmind and give him my CD, and then he'd be like, yes, Pino, come in, you know, I'm going to introduce you to all these, you know, artists, and, you know, you're going to make it now. Whereas when I came back, it took a while longer. It wasn't just I came back and then I was on it. I still had that mentality throughout, you know, for good like 6-7 months or whatever. But with Instros now, it's, you know, my mindset's changed of creating and realizing the importance of creating your own platform for yourself, providing value, and that's what's going to attract all these big guys. Not me sort of, you know, going there, you know, hand in fist saying, "Oh, can you help me out? I'm a really good producer." And we've seen. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Like since we've been doing Instros, we've had so many big producers, like Grammy Award-winning producers, privately DMing me saying, "Love what you guys are doing. I would love to come and be a judge at the show." You know, and, you know, I've got obviously connections with our previous judges as well, and, you know, building a network of producers and songwriters from the UK, but also around Europe. I mean, like this year's show rather, we had people from Bosnia coming, Germany, Sweden, France. We had a big French contingent this year, as we did last year as well. You know, Hungary. Last year we had people from Bulgaria. Like, it's literally all around Europe. So, and that, you know, it's building a platform to the point where we're actually in the process of becoming a publishing company now. I mean, I can't speak too much about it now because it's still, you know, until everything's signed up and everything. But yeah, you know, that's what we're looking to do, because, you know, taking advantage of all of the talent we have, and, you know, start providing opportunities for them, you know, with placements and, you know, and syncs and stuff like that. So it's definitely, you know, to answer your question in a very long-winded way, it was changing the mindset from, wanting someone to help me rather than just helping myself and building a platform and let these people come to me. And I think that's really important with any producer. It's really important to figure out what your value is as a music producer. So obviously the number one thing is if you make really good beats and you build like a signature sound, that's your value and people are going to come to you for that. But if you might be a really good keys player like I was, and I did loop packs as well, and I got producers coming to me for that as well, saying, oh, make me custom samples, and I make custom samples for big producers also. So it's just about finding your value and then really just kind of exploiting that and watching people come to you, building a platform for yourself.
Yeah, it's funny because you mentioned about value, because it's something that I've learned along the way as well on my journey. And it's, have you heard of Gary Vaynerchuk?
I'm a big Gary Vaynerchuk fan.
Yeah,
like, I'm actually gutted that like people, you know, when you know about something and you think no one else know about it, and it's kind of like your kind of secret, and then like 2 or 3 years later he gets like big and it's commercial now and everyone knows about Gary Vee now, and I'm like, oh shit, like I knew about him back in 2011 when no one else did, kind of thing. But I know who he is.
He talks, so you know full well, like he talks about providing value, you know, jab, 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 right hook. And that concept stuck with me because I was just, I read it, or I heard it from him, and then I heard it and read it from another author that I enjoy reading. And he gave a good example. This author that I read, he gave a good example. He's talking about money and building business and stuff like that. And he goes, look, if you want a cat, money is like a cat. If you want the cat to sit in your lap, you can't go and chase it and force it to sit in your lap. But if you put tuna on your lap, on your plate, it's naturally going to come to you because you're providing value. You're giving it something it wants. So in the same way with you, it seems like obviously you didn't have that network of producers and artists the way you do now. As soon as you switch that mindset to, right, I want to create a company that's going to provide value and open opportunities, everyone's like, yeah, I'm on that. And they'll just come to you. So so what does that, so that mindset of providing value, how has that affected you outside of building business?
I think it's just like, you know, it's providing value, but it's also just genuinely wanting to help people. Like, I think there's a big kind of mindset of, mindset shift of mine, rather than always it being about, you know, how can I benefit from a situation? It's, you know, how can you help others? And like being genuine about it though, because people say, oh yeah, I want to help people, but ultimately, you know, it's just about helping themselves. And obviously, you know, you do want to get something out of the exchange, you know, maybe down the road, but genuinely seeing how you can help someone and going out of your way, going above and beyond to help people out. And that's, you know, and I think, you know, if people come to some of our events, like they'll see that, you know, we've made like a ton of good friends from, you know, the showcase and the producer huddle, which is our monthly networking event. We have guys that come, you know, almost every month from France just to come to our monthly producer huddle, and guys that we've actually brought on because we're building, you know, a small team. But it used to be just me and Denise doing everything, but now we've brought on, you know, people that used to compete in our showcases like Fuego, V-Man, Lawless, Black Bell, who are guys in France that are running, you know, flying the fly press over there. So yeah, it's just all about just really being genuine about going out of your way to help people, and then like I think the rest really will take care of itself. They'll be enthusiastic about wanting to help you out and come to your events and show support. And it's just, you know, we've grown really well over the last couple of years just organically because of that element. And I don't even think we necessarily knew what we were intentionally doing that. I think it just happened naturally, you know. So, you know, we didn't sit down and say, okay, our strategy is going to be, we're going to help as many people as we can, and then in return, you know, our company's going to grow because they're going to fuck with us after that. It's literally just like, oh, you know what? Like Fuego, for example, like, you know, when he first competed last year, I pretty much begged him to enter because I was like, Fuego, man, honestly, this is going to be such a big opportunity for you. And, you know, he did it, and he said, Anthony, man, that's the best decision. I'm so glad you made me do it because, you know, he's a future superstar. Like some of the things he's got working in the background, you know, he's going to be a big star. Same with Black Bell. So just, yeah, man, just, you know, really wanting to help people is the way forward.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I hear that as a common thread between everyone that I speak to who are on their way to being successful or who are successful already. And it all comes down to being able to help people in the right way, in a genuine way, in the area that you want to flourish in, you know? Mm-hmm. So it makes sense. I'm just curious, just to peel back the layers a little bit. In terms of you doing
Get
music,
deep now, Rips.
can you hear me? Oh
No,
yeah, you can. Yeah,
so you're
cool.
gonna get deep. You're
Yeah,
gonna get
yeah,
deep now. Yeah? Right, cool.
yeah. Man. Is there anyone else in your family that does music? Or are you the first one?
My brother played the piano. My older brother, who's 4.5 years older than me, he played growing up, and obviously, like any little brother, you want to copy what he's doing. But he's not as musical as me. Like he did his grades. He got up to like grade 8 or whatever, but he didn't really enjoy it. Music was very much more my passion. So once I started, I kind of never looked back. I actually didn't do my grades. I did like grade 2 and then I stopped because, as a young kid, I started when I was 6. As a young kid, you're not really trying to sit there and play like boring classical stuff all day. And I love classical music, but just when you're learning scales and stuff like that, it's really boring. And I just wanted to play like the R&B songs I heard on the radio and jazz and stuff like that. So I just started learning and playing by ear on my own. But yeah, it was very much my older brother who got me into it, and then I just carried on from there. And then obviously with like in school, I did it for school, so for my GCSEs and then A level, and yeah, so I always had that musical kind of, whether it was a teacher or my brother or someone who was kind of encouraging me.
Do you feel was music your favorite subject at school?
The practical part, yeah, I loved playing, I loved creating, but I hated the theory. Like to this day, I hate it. And that sounds bad as a musician, and I'm actually in the process of doing piano lessons again because I need to learn it. But yeah, I hate the theory side of it.
Yeah, I guess there's good and bad with everything, right? So I guess you got to understand that just to give you a
Yeah,
bit of context in terms of that instrument and in terms of what you're actually learning.
yeah,
So
definitely.
what do you think you'd be doing if you didn't do music? If you didn't pursue music, was there something else that you'd be doing?
Probably just I'll probably be in finance, to be honest, because I work currently with my dad, who has his own mortgage brokerage practice, and so we do mortgages and insurance all day long, and I'd probably be taking that over when he retires. So yeah, I'd probably do something like that. But so still working for myself because I very much can't do the 9 to 5 in the city working for someone else. There's nothing wrong with that, of course, but it just isn't for me. That lifestyle isn't for me. Like I'm very much, my own man, and I want to kind of have control of my day. So yeah, I'd probably be doing that, to be honest.
Is that a feeling you always had, or was that was there a certain shift where you thought, actually, I want to be my own boss or have my own company. I'm not going to do this work thing.
Um, I think, I guess everyone kind of thinks at some stage, I hate going to work. I'd love to be able to own my own business somehow, but they don't really give it any much thought. So I think I was like that. And I think only until, yeah, I guess I started taking music seriously about 3 or 4 years ago and seeing that you could potentially make money from it, or just, once I hooked up with Iceland, I thought, oh, there's actually opportunities there for me to kind of, for shit to pop off. So that's when I started thinking, okay, yeah, let me just leave this 9 to 5 thing and concentrate on that.
Yeah, well,
I say leave this 9 to 5 thing, but I'm still in it. I still work part time with my dad, and then do the event stuff on the side.
yeah, yeah. Did they think? Did they think any way about it when you decided that you wanted to focus a little bit of your energy into Instros now, or was he like, you need to be fully focused on this business because I want you to take over it when I'm gone?
Well, he was disappointed that I didn't want to take it over because obviously, he's brought it up, his whole life. My dad's a lot older. He's in his 70s now, so he's still a young 70. He's still a young 70, so he can still run up and down the stairs. But yeah, he's very much spent the last 30 years building it up, and so he was disappointed from that sense. But ultimately, he just wants me to be happy and can see I'm passionate about it. And I think the main thing for him was he just didn't understand. Like he's like, okay, what do you mean music? Are you going to be in a band? Are you going to, what specifically do you do? So I tried to explain it to him, but he's, like I said, he's very old school. He just doesn't know what the hell I'm talking about with like a publishing company or like loop. He's like, what the hell's a loop pack? Do you know what I mean? So I just had to really dumb it down and say, oh, Dad, music producer, I create music, like end of kind of thing. So
yeah.
Yeah. Once he saw, at the beginning, he was just like, oh, I don't know about that. But once he saw that I was serious about it and I was actually making moves, and he started seeing you know, our social media and our website. He's like, okay, I can see where you're going. Now, just, you know, best of luck.
Yeah, do your thing. I think when they start to see a bit of consistency, they're all right. This kid is not going to give up. Like he actually wants to do this. So just let him do it.
Yeah.
You know. So
Yeah, and it's not even just with friends, not even just with families, with friends as well. Like only a small handful of my friends actually know that I'm doing music, because I hate having that conversation of, oh, what do you do? And you say music, and you know, they almost kind of like play it that, like they just take you for some like guy that's in his bedroom just making beats, and not, you know, like every other guy and his dog that does music, you know. And like even sometimes my friends say to me, and they don't mean it, but like they say, oh yeah, how's your little music thing going? Do you know what I mean? And like, because they still don't see it as like what it actually is. Like it's this potentially really big thing that's about to pop off. So that's why I don't even bother talking to most of my friends about it, because it's just like they won't get it, and people only get it once they see it thriving. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, 100%. I've had that as well for sure. When they're just
yeah,
like, oh, you're doing this little thing online or whatever it is, you know. So
exactly.
it's
Well,
like,
how's your little podcast going?
yeah, yeah,
Say some
yeah,
shit like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. So, you know, I've had it before because I had a few online businesses before this that I tried and failed. Some worked, some didn't, and then you know, long story short, like I am here where I am now, trying to make this pop off. But you're right. It's that period where you're in growth. It's like you need to keep your cards close to your chest, because other people's
Exactly.
opinions will just they'll try and derail you because they don't fully understand it, you know.
Exactly.
But yeah, so I mean, now that you are where you are, you're gaining a lot of traction and you're building momentum. Where do you
Mhm.
think things are going to be going over the next few years? Like, have you got an idea, or are you just sort of playing by ear?
But
To
yeah,
see? Yeah,
no, well, there's an element of playing it by ear, because certain things have come up that we didn't, you know, plan for or foresee. But you know, we definitely have a, you know, a general kind of trajectory that we're on. One is that obviously keep growing the showcase, which is, you know, we want to really make it the X factor for producers. You know, like a really really big production where we're doing like arenas, you know, that kind of thing, where the way X Factor is doing.
yeah,
But for producers, you know, we want to get the guest judges to be even bigger and better. Like some of the judges that we potentially can get, you know, will be amazing. So in regards to the showcase, that's the direction we want to go in. But with Instros as a company, like we've started doing our own sound design packs and loop packs as well, which shout out to my man Fuego, who he's going to be heading it up with me. And also the main thing is that we're actually going to transition into a publishing company. So um, excuse me. Yeah, we're going to start trying to get these producers placements, and you know, that's pretty much the direction we're going in. Like we really want to start up this publishing thing and being able to provide opportunities for all of the producers we have, because it's cool to keep coming to the events and networking and stuff, but eventually you want to go and make use of those connections that you've made and like put records out, because that's what the end goal for all of these guys are, to put records out, whether it's get a placement with a big artist or hook up with one of the artists you've met at our events and start working with them, and then put something out, a project out that blows up, and you become the next big producer artist duo. Do you know what I mean? So that's where we're going. Really, we're really trying to push these guys to think of themselves as like a brand and take it seriously, and like, you know, really kind of guide them in the way they need to do, rather than just sitting in their bedrooms making beats and just aimlessly sending them out to A&Rs hoping that they're going to get somewhere, which might work, but it's, I mean,
I guess it's going to be rare, isn't it? Because they probably get hundreds and thousands of emails and letters and
exactly.
whatever it is. So you need to break the noise somehow. And I think you're doing a great thing by actually bringing these people together, because you're doing it in a way where it's slightly informal. It's not like a formal networking event where everyone's in suits and stuff, where you feel like, oh, I feel a bit uncomfortable.
I
Like
hate that.
you make it into a
I hate
place where it's easy for people to speak, which is what I really liked.
Yeah. You know what's funny about that as well is because when I started hosting, so we do this event called the Producer Huddle, which is like a monthly networking event where it's kind of similar to the showcase in a sense that, you know, each producer comes up or songwriter comes up and plays like 3 tracks, 1-minute snippets each, and then just gives a little, you know, 1-minute intro about themselves, who they are, what they do, etc. And when we started that, like, I hated public speaking. Like I was so, because I'm, you know, like most music producers, I'm like an introvert, and so I didn't want to do you know, I didn't want to host. I definitely didn't want to host a showcase in front of like 100 people or whatever. But since doing that, it's really kind of I've come on leaps and bounds with that, and I've just, you know, I couldn't care less now about getting in front of people and speaking now. So it's really helped me develop in other ways as well.
Do you think that's because you now have a reason to do it rather than before you didn't really? So if someone told you to public speak or to stand in front of stage, you'd be like, oh, no, I'd rather not, and find an excuse. Do you feel you're comfortable in your skin now because there's a reason you're doing it, if that makes sense?
Yeah, that, and also I guess I feel more, like I said, I'm still very much, you know, a beginner in this game and I'm nobody special, but I guess I feel more in a place now where I've earned the right to speak almost. Like before, it was just like, well, who's this guy? He just started up a showcase. Like, why is he speaking? You know, I kind of felt like that. I felt insecure a bit about that. But now it's like, you know, I can say, you know, I've worked with big time producers and provided samples. I can say that I've hosted big showcases with Grammy award-winning producers. So I feel a bit more, you know, just confident in the sense that I've kind of earned my spot where I am right now, it being not that much, but still, you know, I've earned the place I've got so far. So it's more of that than anything else, I'd say. And I guess, yes, like just naturally getting better at public speaking the more you do it.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's just funny you mentioned about the feeling insecure, because I think those thoughts go through everyone's mind when they're first starting out, because I think it's called imposter syndrome. You know, like you think like,
Exactly.
shit, I want to be this guy, but I'm not this guy, but I'm trying to be this guy, if that makes sense. You're like in this weird transition period. Then once you actually start gaining traction, it becomes easier. But I guess everyone has to like go through that at first and actually take that leap of faith. And then eventually you become that character along the way.
Yeah, and I think for anyone that's listening that does feel that way, I think the main thing to get over that is because, you know, is to just genuinely be yourself and not try to, like for me, like even though yes, I was a nobody when I started out, and like I wasn't trying to be, I wasn't sitting there lying and saying, oh yes, I'm this big Grammy award-winning producer. I was very honest saying, you know, just started this company up because I wanted to help producers and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And that was fine. I was being myself and I wasn't an imposter, so to speak. I was just very new to the game, which is different, you know. An imposter is someone who's, I guess, lying about who they are or the credits that they've got or the accolades and stuff like that. So very much, if you're starting any business, just always be just transparent. And, you know, no one can really, you know, accuse you of anything else, you know, and you have the right to speak because you're special just like anyone else. So just always be yourself and just be transparent with everyone.
Yeah, no, that's some good advice, man. So just to wrap this up, there's 3 questions that I ask everyone. So, I mean, based on everything that you've learned now, you know, along your journey so far and everything that you've done, would you tell your 18-year-old self anything?
I'm tell my 18 years old. I would say, execute less planning and more execution on the ideas that I had, because I've had so many ideas over the years, but for one reason or another, I've talked myself out of it. So definitely start executing more, learning on the job, and not just sitting there planning all day and not doing nothing.
Yeah, good. It's a good shout, and you've obviously made that happen, and you're gaining traction because of it, man. So no. So the second thing is, if you had a piece of paper and a pen and you could write anything down, and that piece of paper would then go into a time capsule, and generations from now would then open it and read it, what would you write in there?
Oh man. Oh. All right. What would it be like? Do you mean like a message to myself or to mankind, or
message to like a future generation? So like, let's say like 50 or 100 years from now, let's say 100 years from now, someone digs it up and they read it. Like, is there a particular message that you'd want that generation to read?
I'm going to be really kind of cliche, but I genuinely mean it, is just like, don't follow the crowd, because I really hate this kind of Instagram, social media thing. Everyone's just following fashion. Like, I'm really not. I really see myself as like, you know, a renegade in that sense, and just go against the grain. So I'd really say, do what makes you happy. Don't follow the crowd, and just be strong-minded. As cliche as that sounds, that's terrible.
Yeah. No, I hate seeing that on Instagram. But the thing is, like, that's genuine advice because you've actually lived that, and when you start to blaze your own trail and you go down your own path and you're like, you know, I want to do this thing for myself. That is what you have to do. You have to be strong-headed. You have to believe in yourself and all the cliche things that come with it. But I think people don't realize the importance of those basic messages, because they're not on their own journey. When you're on it, then you understand. You're like, all right, cool. I know this is cliche, but I know it's real. You know.
100%.
So you're at the end of your life now, after living a long, happy life. When you look back, what's the legacy that you hope to leave behind?
Well, first and foremost, a legacy for my family and kids and their kids. So hopefully I would have built up, you know, a big company, big companies, but it's not just this that I want to be doing, and where they're financially set. And it's a legacy of like always being true to myself, hardworking, and always helping people. And yeah, man, like, because I'm really, honestly, I know it sounds cliche again, but I'm really big on that. Just always treating people with respect, you know, being of service to people, and just being thought of as like an all-round guy with like strong and good principles. I think, I guess that's what I want my legacy to be.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And I think you're definitely on your way to doing that with everything that you've got going on. And the intention as well, I would say, is most important. Like, you've got a positive intention to actually want to help people and to bring the right opportunities to people who may not actually get it. So, no, I wish you all the best on your journey and where everything goes from now. I hope it just keeps getting better and better. And I definitely would like to catch up again, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Vips, man. Let's definitely catch up soon again. Like, shout out to your brother again, Kid Music. Go check it out, and the guy's got crazy beats. And yeah, man, let's catch up again. Maybe in like a year's time, I got a lot more to say. We would have moved on.
Nice.
Both of us.
Yeah,
you know, best
yeah.
podcast as well, man. You know, you're doing really well, and it's great to see you doing your thing, Vips.
Thank you so much. And just before we close this out, where can people find you or get involved with Instros?
Oh, of course. So myself personally, I'm on Instagram at Pino Producer, Pino Producer, all one word. Instros Only, it's instrosonly.com. Instros is spelled INSTROS only, all one word, .com. Social media, Instagram at Instros Only. Twitter, we're not really on Twitter too much, but at Instros Only. And Facebook at Instros Only UK.
Nice and clean, man. All right, cool, man. I'll put all of those links in the show notes. And as I said, man, definitely good to catch up later on.
Appreciate you, Vips.
Thank you, man. Bye.
Take care.